everybody, you're very welcome to the next episode of our podcast. I'm Siobhan Flynn and I'm here today with lots of guests today. So I have Grace here beside me. How are you, Grace?
I'm good, thanks.
How are things?
Good.
Any news first?
Not much really. I just love my life in every way.
You love your life in every way. I believe you're going on holidays next week.
I am, yes.
Off to somewhere lovely.
Yeah.
Where are you off to?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, if you don't mind. Very
Yeah,
nice.
not
And
bad.
hopefully the weather is nicer in Puerto Rico than it is
Yeah, fingers
in the
crossed.
so-called sunny southeast, because it's
Yeah.
not very sunny these days, is it?
No, it's very wet.
Yes. But anyway, hopefully the summer will come sometime soon.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And Philip, how are you doing?
Grand.
Good. Do you want to tell us?
I was done the open day this morning.
You're in an open day today for the ETB.
Yeah.
Looking at some courses, were you?
I signed up.
You've signed up in all for September, is it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Beginners computers.
Oh, very good.
And woodwork.
Computers. And woodwork as well. Lovely.
The woodwork one will be after work, night time.
Oh, in the night time, an evening course.
Yeah.
Very good. That'd be great. We look forward to seeing all the lovely things you're going to make now.
Well, we'll see.
Well, you're going to give it a go anyway.
Yeah.
That's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Claire, how are you doing
Hello,
today?
not too bad.
Yeah. Any news for us?
No.
No. Any update in the wedding plans?
No.
No, not yet. No, you're being very shy today, are you? Yeah.
No.
But you're welcome. So we have two very special guests today, don't we? Haven't we, everybody?
Yep.
So I'd like to introduce Nicola and Mahony and Julie Baker. They're both here today. And so I'm going to hand over to Nicola now. She's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Okay, thanks Siobhan. Thanks guys for inviting me. This is my first ever podcast. So I've been working with the Brothers of Charity for 9 years, and I've worked mostly in Cummer Day services, but I've done a few other things along the way, and my most recent post was in advocacy with the National Advocacy Team, and I supported a small group of people for the DPCN. Do you know what the DPCN is?
No.
The Decision Act.
Well, it's linked to
It
linked to the Decision Making Act, is right, Philip? You're right, and the convention.
Yeah,
isn't
well,
it
it came out of the convention, the United
Yeah.
Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and it's basically called the Disability Participation and Consultation Network. It's a mouthful, isn't it, Philip?
It is.
Yeah. So basically, we worked on policies and feeding into government, trying to get change and fighting for the rights of people with disabilities all over Ireland.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting, and I became more involved in advocacy during my time there, but I've always been interested in it.
Yeah, very good. And you're currently working in...
I'm currently in residential, actually. I was supposed to go back to day services, but I'm in residential at the moment. So
yeah.
I'm supporting one lady, and it's all good.
Yeah, very good. That's great. Well, you're very welcome, Nicola, and thanks for giving us the time today. And we'll hand over to Julie now. She's going to tell us all about herself.
Yeah.
Hi guys, my name's Julie Baker and I'm currently working in the Dunedin day service in Clonmel. I've been with the Brothers of Charity for just over 12 months now. I spent a number of years working with children with disability and then rolled over into adults with dementia. But I'm back here now in the day service, so very keen to get the ball rolling with advocacy in the day service, and looking forward to my first podcast with you guys and listening to all the lovely things that you get up to. So thanks for having me.
Oh, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always good to have special guests, isn't it
It
great?
is.
Yes.
You know, it's nice, because then the idea would be that Siobhan wouldn't talk too much, but that doesn't always work, does it?
No. Never stops.
Never stops. Well, I try my best. I keep it going, we'll say. Is that right?
Yeah.
So look, thanks a million for coming. And we're really just going to talk about, you're both employed in our service, like I am myself, and you've worked different number of years. So Julie, you're kind of very much starting off in the service, and Nicola, you're around a while, 9 years is a good while, do you know what I mean? So, and it's really from your... and you've been heavily involved in support and advocacy, and Julie, I know you have since you've started within our service. So it's really to get your perspective as what it is to be somebody working in our service, supporting people around their rights and advocacy and stuff like that. So that's really the whole idea of today's podcast and the idea of what we're hoping to achieve. Now, Claire and Grace and Philip have prepared some questions, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, try to.
Well, no, you have. In fairness, you prepare some questions. So,
Siobhan, I didn't one.
yeah, you're going to do this. You're like me, Philip. You just do it on the hop.
I'm up late and the hand panic.
That's okay. Look, will we start with one of your questions then? Or will we move to someone, ask one of the girls to go first? Right, okay.
What is your role when it comes to advocacy?
So, in general, as a staff member, I suppose, I didn't really know anything about advocacy when I started in the Brothers of Charity. And like you, Julia, I worked in day services. And I think the main thing is to help people to get the knowledge, to support them around education themselves and understanding advocacy themselves and how to speak up and ask for things that they want in their lives, and that they have a right to do everything they want to do, and that we're here to support them to try and to do whatever it is. And they don't have to be really big things. They can be small things. They can be everyday things, like changing where they go to a day service or where they live, or things like that.
Or going to vote, or things like that. There doesn't have to be these big, huge things.
Advocacy happens every day within our services. And it's we always hear about the big things, but it's really the everyday things that are really important.
Yeah. Do you think that's right, Grace?
Yeah.
The everyday things are really important to you.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Julie, have you anything to add to that one?
I think it's important to say that we're all citizens together and we're all equal and we should all be treated equally. We all need to use our voice. We all have a voice, and why shouldn't we all do what we want to do, really?
Exactly.
We all need to be respected. We all need to be included. We all need freedom, and we all have rights. So why not just be encouraged to activate those rights, really, through our daily life.
Yeah, very good. Good answers, aren't they?
Yeah.
What do you think, Grace?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're dying to ask one of your questions.
Yes.
Go on, we'll let Grace go next. So.
How do you ensure that the voices of people supported are heard and valued?
That's a good question, isn't it?
It's a big question.
Yeah, it's a big question. Now I have to say, Grace, everybody came up with their own questions. Like, I gave them an idea of what we're doing today, and they're right.
Yeah.
And then you hit me with the questions on the way out. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
whoever wants to take it, yeah.
Well, I suppose it depends on the person themselves, because what I found is, so in the area that I work, I support people with high support needs. So for those people, it's about knowing them first and understanding their way of communicating, because the three people sitting here today are very well able to speak for themselves, but not everybody in our services are. And I think it's really down to knowing the person first and foremost, because you can't help people to find their voice until you really know how they communicate, how they communicate firstly, and how they learn, and what's really important to them. Yeah. So what really is important to one person is completely different to what's important to the next.
Absolutely.
So there's no right or wrong way, I think, of supporting advocacy, so long as you're willing to be there for the person and to
and presenting a holistic approach to it as well.
Absolutely.
Because, there's a lot of, just because there is no verbal communication there's a lot of body language there's a lot of pictures there's a lot of just touch and eye movement. Any kind of interaction is communication.
Absolutely.
So we have to kind of build on that, but I think it is paramount to say that observation is key. Number one, observation, and get to know you really do need to know your person.
Spending time with everybody, that right, and building trust, which is a big thing, isn't it, Claire? Yeah, we talk about that a lot of times, don't we, Claire, about the importance of building trust and getting to know somebody. So, and it's a two-way thing as well. It's not just for us as staff, but it's the person themselves, like yourselves. You have to trust that we're supporting you in the best way possible. So, it is. You've often said that, Claire, that it takes you a long time to get to know people and trust them, and that's absolutely no problem. That's most people, I think. That's not just you.
It's for everybody.
That's for everybody. It takes
All
people
of
a
us,
long time, to trust people. But that was a great question. That kind of leads us on. You had a question around communication there, Claire, did you?
This one.
Yeah.
First one. How do you communicate with someone who cannot talk back? Same thing anyway. Well,
Julie kind of covered
I
it a
see
little
Julie
bit there,
does.
yeah. So it's really about body language.
Getting to know the person, the supported person, and knowing their likes and knowing their dislikes, and giving them choices and pictures,
and some people use love as well.
and love, absolutely, that's very good, and obviously picture exchange, communication, and all the body language, the eye contact, the mood, the movement. If somebody doesn't want to go, say for bowling, somebody doesn't want to go to bowling, but you're actually asking them to go to bowling, they don't want to do the bowling, so it's all, the whole presentation of that supported person.
Yeah, that's important, isn't it? Yeah, and I suppose we're lucky. I suppose we're in a time now where we have lots of different ways of communicating. There's lots of different more technology, and there's lots of different ways.
There's every kind of thing.
There's books, and there's iPads, and there's laptops, and
we've still got the switches and
it's the old reliables.
So sometimes the old-fashioned ways actually do work better.
But a lot of it, and it really does go back to spending time with the person.
Absolutely,
and being able to spend time with them. That's important, isn't it?
It is.
But it's good that there are all these different systems that are progressing as the years go by, like, so I'm sure in 20 years time there'll be lots of other things that are there that weren't there 20 years ago, so but that's great. Anyone else have a question that they'd like to ask? I know it feels like you're being put on the spot, so apologies. It's supposed to be nice and relaxed. We're hoping you feel a little bit relaxed, but Philip has another question. Have you, Philip?
How can advocacy get better in the budget charity?
How can it get better?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we're always trying to get better. We're always willing to learn. We're always listening. We're always trying to find new ways, to achieve what it is you guys really want in life. So we're always striving to get the best for you guys, but it is communication again. It is a two-way thing. You need to talk to us, we need to talk to you, we need to communicate to get the best of the best for you guys.
And I think it's about educating staff as well, because not everybody understands fully their role in advocacy, or particularly new staff coming in. And Julie, you obviously have a very good understanding of advocacy from your previous roles. I don't think you've just...
I can see the stigma around the advocacy, and I can see the way people don't want to come forward because they don't understand it.
Exactly.
Because we put too much thought into it to say, God, it's a whole big thing.
Exactly. And that's what
it's not.
It's not, no.
It's what we do every day.
Like we're all doing it all of the time.
Every day.
It's part of our role anyway, and I think it's quite natural in a lot of the people within the services. Would you think, Claire?
Yeah.
But I don't think, as you say, people fully understand it, so they're afraid of it.
Yeah.
So I think the more things we do like this, talking about it and getting the word out there,
hopefully people won't be so afraid.
No.
Exactly.
It isn't anything to be afraid of.
No.
It's everybody's right. We're all equal. We're all citizens.
And I think the important thing is, and we may have said this previously on other episodes, but you know, we all advocate for ourselves all the time on a daily basis. We just don't think it, we don't call it that. It's just something that we do on a regular basis. So I suppose, and it's really about giving people information, and that's why we brought the podcast together, and hopefully that it will help people just to get a sense of that it's not this big thing that you have to be so knowledgeable about. It's something, and you learn as you're going along as well. We all, you know, it's life. It's just life. So, that's a good one. Anything else? Have you anything else to say, Claire?
No. I have one there. How do you help someone to get married?
So if you were supporting somebody in the service and they'd love to get married, which is absolutely a right that everybody can have, we won't. We could be here for a day and a half now trying to plan it, but you know, because that's a very big thing for somebody, isn't it?
It is,
you know, have you any tips or tricks or anything that you'd like to share on how you would go about supporting somebody to get married?
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully, first of all, the person has a partner in mind who wants to get married to. I know you do, Claire. Just for putting it out there as a general thing. I know, and you're very relevant, Claire, because you're already engaged.
I am,
So you're already on the path.
Yes.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I suppose it would depend on the person. You'd have to sit down with the person and their partner.
Yes.
And talk about what they see as their ideal wedding, you know, because it's very different for different people. It can be a very small group, or you might want a big wedding. It's really in the planning, and it's all about communication again. And whether you want to get married in the church or whether you just want something spiritual, and you know.
A lot of likes and dislikes. And
you have to think about things like where you might like to live, you know.
The money end of it, the financial end of it.
Finances.
They're all very big questions,
how
aren't
many
they?
guests, what you like to wear, what
The
you
college
like
will
your
be one.
groom to wear. Do you want bridesmaids? Do
college
you
will
want
be-
flowers?
What's what
Do you
say,
want
Philip?
inside, outside?
The
Sorry.
college is going to be a big one.
The college.
The prices of for the course.
Okay,
that's another subject, I think. But money is important in every situation, I think. Any big thing you want to do in your life comes down to.
But I suppose Claire's question is not an impossibility either, I suppose. And that's, I suppose, the importance of today really is to show that actually, you know, it's not beyond, people get married all the time. It's not beyond planning, or it's not beyond saving for. These are things that people do all the time. And I suppose, like, you know, it's not, you know, we haven't heard of lots of people in our service who have gotten married, but it has happened. And it's possible. But I suppose, so I suppose the important thing from a staff's point of view is that, okay, this is something that we can do, just how can we do it, and the importance of planning and getting other people involved. It's not just you on your own, and the support that you need, and like, it's a celebration. You know, and getting married is a celebration of a person's life and what they want to do in their life. So it's real, okay, we get these people around us, and that'll help me. And I suppose most staff would be only delighted to be part of something like that.
Absolutely,
you know?
It's a celebration, as you say, rather than, you know, an uphill battle. You know, a lot of things that we work on are difficult situations, or you know, whereas this is a real celebration.
And everybody wants to be involved.
I know that.
And everybody who gets married has to put a lot of planning into it.
Exactly.
It usually does take a couple of years to plan a wedding and a marriage. And in a previous lifetime, I used to give pre-marriage courses.
Oh yes.
Well, I was a facilitator. So, you know, there's everybody has to put a lot of thought into, and it's not just the day of the wedding, it's beyond.
Every single thing.
Every single
I know
thing,
that.
exactly, Claire.
Planning.
You see, so
But I think the important thing is that it's not impossible.
I know
It's
that.
actually, it's really, and having good staff around you is really, really important. I suppose that kind of leads me on to a question around what do you see as staff has been, I think Phil might tipped on it a little bit, we might tip on around the barriers really to advocacy within our service. You know, I don't know, time is probably one of them. I absolutely know time is a thing for people. But I suppose, have you any thoughts on, you know, I suppose we do advocacy well in our service. There's obviously room for improvement. We're changing all the time. It really is important. I suppose it's educating staff, educating people that we support on how important it is and stuff. But the barriers really that you would see as staff directly working with people in regards to driving for advocacy forward in our service. And don't be afraid to say the negative. That's okay.
I think it's a lack of understanding again
Yeah.
from staff
yeah,
that they don't see it as an important part of the day.
yeah.
You
And
know, and why? Like that's why they.
It's
It
it's
is.
the
It's
basic,
a negative,
really,
it's
isn't
a
it?
negative aspect of what's, you know, of advocacy. It's negative, very negative. You shouldn't be, you know, it should be on the back burner, but it's not. It shouldn't be. It should be at the forefront. It should be number one.
Yeah,
Like, you know.
absolutely.
Yeah, I know that's a difficult question. I might put you on the spot there a little bit, but I suppose we have policy, we have an advocacy policy in place, we have procedures in place, we have structures in place, which
Yeah.
you know they are good structures, and if they're
Yeah.
used well, they work really, really well, and we know that ourselves. But
Yeah.
I suppose it's there's barriers to everything, but I suppose
Yeah,
it's how
I
we get
think
around them.
Possibly there's a culture within older maybe staff or teams, you know, people who are around a long time, or people who were there maybe or people who were there when it was more of a congregated kind of, you know, the old setting. And I think there's possibly still some of that there, that people are afraid almost, you know, and they're afraid of change.
Way that we used to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You hear
yeah.
a lot of that across the service. You know, when you're trying to do something
In a lot of
different or
things, yeah.
outside the box, you get a lot of, well, we've never done that, you know, or this is, as you said, Julie, this is the way we do such and such thing.
Yeah.
And it's to bring everybody along with, you know, because it's going back to the education piece, that not everybody fully understands the ADMA and the UNCRPD and all of that, like, and they don't buy into it fully,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
and that's hard to change, you
Oh,
know.
yeah,
but it is
absolutely.
changing. I see great changes
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
You know.
Yeah. It is hard to change things. Isn't it hard to change things, Grace?
Yeah, it's hard.
Why do you think people are afraid to change?
I don't know really.
You don't know. It's hard to do something different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know? But I suppose until we try and change something, we're not going to know whether it works or not. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
okay if things don't work out. I think that's important as well. We talk about risks. The ADMA
Yeah.
talks about risk and taking risks that we should take, or, you know, everybody should take risks in their lives,
Yeah.
whether it's good or bad.
Yeah,
That's
I
just-
think it's that comfort thing that's people.
We all like our comfort zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and we know what we're good at and what we're able to do, and people are a little bit afraid to.
Yeah.
But it is thinking outside the box now,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
if we're not going to be stuck in the way that we used to do it,
We
we
can't.
have to think about outside the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose this is what we're doing a podcast for. We're thinking a little bit outside the box, because there's not that many podcasts out around advocacy, so we're hoping this will spread the love of advocacy and the, you know,
And the understanding.
the understanding. So yeah, of it as well. So this is just another way that we can do that. Isn't that right, Grace? We can maybe get people to change. We've met lots of people who've come on our podcast and they don't listen to podcasts. So we are going to encourage lots of people to listen to podcasts, because that's a great way of hearing all the different things that are out there. So
It's a great
hopefully,
way of learning as well.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
any
And-
sort of a podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
it
there's
is
so many podcasts out there now for health, wealth, and
everything. Yeah, yeah,
eating and
great.
nutrition and meditation and all
Yeah.
sorts.
yeah. There's lots.
So it
of
is a
stuff.
great idea.
Yeah.
now
So
we have one
yeah.
with
So
advocacy.
hopefully this will get people's interest. It's just another way, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else to ask, Grace?
I am sorry, don't shoot me. I only have 2 questions left.
Grace's good questions. Everybody's questions are really good today.
Let's go straight to the third one. What are some common barriers to advocacy that you come across in the service and in the wider community?
Kind of answered it a little bit.
Yeah.
But we can maybe delve into the wider community, the barriers to advocacy, I suppose, in general, and supporting people with disabilities in the community. That's a really good question. Like, it is really, and I suppose the important thing, we've spoken about this before, but advocacy is just not to be seen as just within our service. It's something that we do in our lives every day, and it's the wider community. And how is it that we can support people to be seen as valued citizens as part of everyday life in our country? So I'll hand this over to the two ladies.
I think out in sort of like, social eating out is probably a big one. You know, the lack of
Awareness.
bathrooms, the lack of areas for wheelchairs, the lack of space between tables to get wheelchairs in.
Absolutely.
Usually the lack of accommodation for wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And there's, I suppose, there's still the stigma there, like, looking, and but that shouldn't be like that at all. We're all equal, we're all we're all one. But even for the likes of, say, bowling, the bowling alley is tight. But you have to get a wheelchair from a flat surface up onto the ramp where the bowling alley actually is. One ramp for like 6 or 7 lanes when you're all trying to do, a
Same
lot of
thing.
bowling.
Yeah.
So that's a lack of thought there.
Yeah.
For disability.
Yeah.
And I suppose for choosing as well out in shops. For the lack of, everything is up here, whereas you're in a wheelchair, you're down here.
Yeah.
Even for the likes of the local links as well. I know that in Clonmel, the local links for the that goes around the town, there's just only one wheelchair in there. You can only get one wheelchair in there. So
in the bus, yeah.
for the likes of us, if we were to go out for something like that, one person on one bus, that's an out and around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's
we
no
all know
good.
what local link is.
Yeah.
Is there a local link out where you live, Grace? So it's like just a local bus service, a smaller
Just
bus and
goes
stuff.
around the little towns
Yeah.
that stops at every stop wherever you want to get off.
I think the ones from here, Berman, Strabally,
Goes out through the coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a good bus service to where you live here and in the town, and
There's one.
you're a little bit outside of the town, Grace. But
we do have a few bus stops around different streets. So
Yeah. But I suppose that's it. And I suppose how advocacy would work I suppose it's up to the staff and up to the people themselves to promote the fact that, ask the question, do you realise that when I bring in someone in a wheelchair, they can't actually get in here because the tables are... And that's really, that's how we as staff and the people in our service can promote that.
Yeah.
Things won't change if we
Unless
just
we-
don't say anything.
Yeah.
Would you think so, Grace?
Yeah.
Think change will happen if it's all just in your head and then you don't tell anybody else?
That's a problem.
That's the problem. That would be a little problem, wouldn't it?
We all have to use the voice, don't we?
Absolutely,
We want
yeah.
to be out in the community and
Yeah.
have fun out in the community, and it's not accessible. Then we have to talk a bit louder.
Yeah, and even in the in legislation it says that buildings have to be made what they call reasonable accommodation, but that's only to do with new buildings. So we where we're based in the southeast, it's a very old city, and there's lots of cities in Ireland that are very old, that they and lots of hotels and businesses were built
accessible.
before this legislation was brought in. So it means that they have to make reasonable accommodation, but that's usually to do with whether they have the money to do it or they can actually physically do it in within that building and stuff. So some businesses try their best. I think they do try their best. But I suppose if you go to somewhere and it's not accessible and you see that, it would be really up to you to say, well, that somebody in a wheelchair can't get into this bathroom because the door is coming out the wrong way, or it goes in on the toilet and they can't get in around it. So it really is about us as staff and people yourselves, promoting that idea and questioning things as to, well, have you ever thought of it this way, or and I think that's how important it's so important to have people with disabilities when the likes of new buildings are being built, the likes of new transport is that their voices are heard, that they're part of that discussion from the very start, that it's like, okay, well, I'm somebody who's in a wheelchair, why can I not use the local link because somebody else in a wheelchair is using it? Do you know what I mean? But it's important that your voices are heard when those discussions are happening. So that's really important, I suppose, from our point of view as a service and from supporting everybody. Not that you're living your wonderful life, Grace, as you said earlier on. We know it's absolutely Claire and Philip. But there's lots of people who need lots of support in our service, and that's what we're here for. Do you know? And that's really important that we do that. Do you know?
And that comes back then to time and things, because a lot of my role in my advocacy role was looking at consultations and making submissions and things. On a normal day-to-day basis, when you're in a day service, you don't have time to be looking up government policies or when they have consultations on things like that and putting all the work into it. So it's a really difficult one because there isn't enough funding and time for staff on the ground to be doing those sorts of things. But it is really important work.
Yeah, no, it is really important work, and people's voices won't be heard if we don't make sure that they're, if we don't make the time. I suppose we make time for lots of other things.
We do.
And as you said, Julie, it should be up the top of the list. It shouldn't be down the end. But it's making that time, especially with all the regulations that are here now and all the other organisations we have to make sure that we're adhering to. But it's like... people's voices have to be at the top
it's really
of
important.
it. It really is so important, isn't it, Grace?
Yeah.
Do you think your voice is important?
Very.
Very. It is very. And you, Claire?
Yes.
Absolutely.
You think? Yeah. Claire's very quiet today, aren't you, Claire? Yeah. Not getting word in at all. Well, that's because your phone keeps talking. And Philip.
Yep.
So, have you anything else to say now?
No.
No, you're okay. Have you anything else, Grace? You've asked all your questions. Have you anything else to say to the girls?
Thanks very much for coming.
Yes, we really enjoyed having your talk. Anything else to say, Philip?
No.
You're okay, are you? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Philip is the lone man in this group now for the last all our episodes, really, haven't you, Philip? So you've done well to get even a word in.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Look, we'll wrap up now. We'll say a big thanks to Julie and Nicola. We really hope you enjoyed coming to our today's episode. I really do appreciate you coming and taking your time out of your very busy schedules.
Yep.
Look, we will hopefully, you never know, we'll get you back another time, so don't worry, you're not off the hook yet. But we really do appreciate it, don't we?
We do.
And thanks so much. So we'll just, and it's a goodbye for me from today.
And it's goodbye for me.
Goodbye from me.
And thanks, Siobhan, and thanks for the great questions, guys.
Yes.
Thank you for me.
Goodbye from Philip.
And thanks for inviting us. Lovely to meet you all. Hopefully we'll meet again.
Hopefully.
Thanks, guys.
That's great.